In this video, I'd like to show you the functionality you have to manage networks within the RootAxcess Cloud. The first thing you'll notice are the networks we already have deployed. These networks are actually physical VLANs created on our all-Cisco network. To deploy a new network is a simple click of the mouse. Select Deploy Network and give it a name. In the background, our system is deploying a new Layer 2 VLAN, firewall, and load balancer on our all-Cisco network. Now let's look at the capabilities you have within that network. The first screen you'll see is your general network information. This includes your assigned private IP space and initial block of public IPs. Across the bottom of this window, you'll see a menu of options available to manage this network. Within the properties, you have the ability to rename this network or enable or disable multicast if your application requires it. Next is public IPs. By default, you are given an initial block of public IPs. If you need more, it's a simple click of the button to make that request, and the system will automatically provision new IP block for you. Next, let's take a look at the firewall. Initially, there's a default set of rules created, but you have the full capability of removing those and adding new ones that better fit your environment. To add a new rule, simply click Add Rule and fill in the information. Name. Select one of the over 400 available rule positions. Select the type and maybe choose a port. As you see, I'm going to permit 8080 through our network. As you see here, this rule has been created. Next, I want to show you the functionality to have for managing your load balancer. For this example, I'm going to go to a network that already has servers installed. As you see here in the RootAxcess demo network, there's quite a few to choose from. In this initial screen, this is where you will add the servers you potentially want to use within one of your server farms. I'll add one now. Select the IP from your available servers. Now to add in a new server to the list. You next have the option to choose a probe you'd like to use to check for the health of your servers. Basic TCP and UDP probes are installed by default, but you have the capability of adding your own. Select Add Probe and give it a name. For example, I'll add an HTTP header check. Select HTTP, head, and the content type. The new probe is now added to my list for future use. Next, we'll create a server farm. Select Server Farms. As you see, there's already a farm created, but I'll go ahead and add a new one. Select Add Server Farm and give it a name. You can now select your predictor, least connections, or round robin, and decide the initial server you want to start with in that pool, Web Server 1 or Web Server 2. The option for your real server port, and which probe you'd like to use. As you see in this list, here's the custom probe we created a second ago. We'll use that one. And there's our new server farm. We also have the ability to add persistent profiles for applications that require that, but let's just go to the VIPs. To add a new virtual IP to our server farm is a simple click of the button. Create a name, what port we want to listen on, we'll say port 80, and we'll select the target being the new farm we created, and we want this to be in service when I hit submit. And our new VIP has been created. We've now created a load balanced environment within our network. And to complete this overview, I'd like to show you how to use NAT rules. NAT rules are used to set up a one-to-one relationship between a publicly addressable IP and a single IP on your internal network. What you do is select one of the internal IPs you'd like to use, and you add it to the list. What our system did is it took the next available public IP address and assigned it to the network address you chose on the internal network. Thanks for watching, and I hope that was a good overview of the network capabilities within the RootAxcess Cloud.